Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the latest episode of the Martin Sibley Show, and catching up today with Dr. Mark Esho, who have known each other now quite a while. Mark, I mean, it's got to be at least 5 years, probably longer, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's a bit longer than that.
Yeah, it's got to be
But
longer than that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've kind of known about you for like 10, 15 years, or
Oh,
is it
wow.
probably, probably that thing? Yeah, but again, I think we kind of hooked up about 5 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, and then, so there's a few projects that we'll touch on a bit today that that you've kindly invited me to be involved in over
Yeah.
those years. I still fondly remember those cartoons we that you had made for Access Rating. They were brilliant.
Okay,
But
yeah.
really, the broad thrust of our interest, and the things we generally chat about is disability and entrepreneurship. So that's going to be the kind of core theme of today's chat. Yeah, it'd be
Absolutely.
lovely if you could just kind of introduce a bit of your backstory for people that either
Sure.
haven't come across you or just sort of update a little bit as well. Because I know we had a chat back in the pandemic on a live stream, but it's been a while. So yeah, just kind of the floor is yours just to share a bit about you.
Okay, so my backstory is I had polio when I was 5. So the last pandemic in the UK was actually the polio virus. So when I caught the polio virus, it actually been completely eradicated for like 15 years. So up to today, no one knows how I managed to catch the
Oh,
polio
wow.
virus at all. And I got it really bad. So I was paralyzed from the neck down, completely paralyzed, and doctors gave me very little chances of surviving. In the end, I did partially recover, but I spent about 3 years in hospital. So while my peers were going to school or starting school, I was in hospital, they're essentially recovering. But the extent of my recovery, interesting enough, actually looking at me, a lot of people don't realize, but I've got my left leg is completely dead. My right leg's only got 10%, and I've only got 50% on my left arm. So I've only got one limb that's 100%. So a lot of people actually don't realize that. But anyway, despite the obviously the constraints of being disabled, um, one of the things that my parents drummed into me from a very early age was education. So I managed to navigate the barriers. When I say barrier, well, basically the barriers of educational establishments, because back then, most university colleges weren't very accessible for
Yeah.
disabled people like myself. And I'm sure you had very similar experiences yourself. And managed to, well, ended up with a master's degree. So I've got an MBA, Master's in Business Administration.
Nice.
And in my naivety, I thought to myself, great, I've now got this MBA. How can I hit the job market? All these employers are going to be falling over themselves to employ me. Oh my gosh, what an idiot. What a complete idiot. I was applying for about 100 jobs, actually didn't even get a look in.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you think there's a specific reason around having a disability because of that, or were there other factors as well at the time?
Well, that's a good question. Being black and disabled, I think that was a
Yeah,
significant factor,
yeah.
more than anything else. Some of the excuses I got is actually one excuse. Actually, someone was very honest with me, saying, "Listen, you're a lot more qualified than I am academically." So, and I actually said, I don't know how confident I'm going to be with that. And so I think the fact that people thought I was overqualified more than anything else, and obviously lots of discrimination. The unconscious bias more than anything else. So in the end, I just dumbed down. So I dumbed down to degree level, still wasn't getting much of a look in. So dumbed down to A levels, and that's when people started to obviously to give me job opportunities. Got a bit of experience from there. Probably did about 2 years, just working at a much kind of lower level. And then I was given opportunity with an organization as a finance manager, who actually knew my food qualifications, and and I kind of knew what I could offer. So I was there for several years, and I just thought to myself, okay, I've achieved everything that everything I wanted to achieve to a certain extent in terms of getting the qualifications, getting that good job. And I was relatively settled. And after, I think it was about 6, 7 years, I started to become ill again. Kept on going to the doctors. And over a period of 6 months, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was chronically fatigued. Was if I can't get my words out at the moment. So I was, I was suffering from chronic fatigue. I had muscle ache. I had like Parkinson type symptoms. Was getting tremors.
Was that relating to polio in some way?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's right, Martin. So after a while, I was diagnosed with post-polio syndrome,
Okay. Okay.
which basically essentially 60, I think, 70, 80% of polio sufferers will actually suffer post-polio syndrome about
Yeah.
20 to 30 years after. So it's very similar to it's very similar to like long COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was back in 1999, and I decided that I didn't want to become a burden because I was becoming unreliable, very, very unreliable. I didn't want to become a burden on my employer, so I left. So my options then, I was thinking to myself, okay, should I just get a job with the council or some sort of work that could give me complete flexibility? Because back then, we didn't have the hybrid working, remote
Yeah.
work. That honestly, seriously, we're so sport now, aren't we? We do all
Yeah.
these things now. But there wasn't much around that I thought, okay, that I could do. That I was happy doing. So I set up my first business. So a lot of people think that my background is in IT and computer science, but it isn't. I actually taught myself web design. So I
Mhm.
taught myself web designing in 2000, and I created my first website, which is called Houses Online. And
Mhm.
I always say to people, my claim to fame is I did right move before anyone else. So
Yeah.
I created the website. I had a student from Leicester University help me program the database because I'm not a programmer. I pitched it to the local newspaper, which is a local, it's called the Leicester Mercury. They loved the idea, but unfortunately, again, it was way before its time,
Mhm.
so they couldn't obviously support it going forward, because obviously, because of the relationship that they've got with with the estate agents,
Yeah.
and the venture failed. So by then, I put in all my savings, basically put everything into it.
Wow.
And, I was in a really, really bad situation.
Yeah.
And so then
I
I
know
was
the war, the badges
sorry.
of war, that part of the story, that kind of moment, right, when so many entrepreneurs have that, sort of stakehold on it and it doesn't go as it's meant to go and you're not sure what to do next. And yeah,
Absolutely. I burnt all my bridges,
yeah,
back up against the wall.
yeah,
We just had we had a mortgage, a young child. It was pretty, pretty bad, to put it
yeah,
that way.
yeah. Not the best.
Um, exactly. So that's when I just thought to myself, okay, what do I do? So then I started to explore ways in which I could market houses online.
Mhm.
And so I taught myself digital marketing. I focused mainly on SEO. So back then, Google wasn't a prominent search engine like us, MSN, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of any of those, like all the
Weird
old
to
ones.
think there used to be more than Google, right?
Exactly. Tell me
Yeah,
about it. Back then, there's about like 20 search engines.
yeah.
Like Alta Vista, the whole lot.
Ask Jeeves. Do you remember
Ask
Ask
Jeeves.
Jeeves?
I remember Ask Jeeves,
Yeah,
exactly, with the butler. You remember
yeah, yeah,
that one?
yeah. How random.
Exactly. So within about 2 months, I managed to get houses online to the top of the search engines. I thought to myself, did you have one of those light bulb moments? I thought to myself, oh, actually, do you know what? I could actually set up a business doing this.
Yeah,
There wasn't much demand for it back then. Actually, there was no demand for it.
yeah.
So what I did was, so I set up my first company, Easy Internet Services, in November 2000.
Hmm.
So what I did was I approached four companies and I said to them that I'll get you to the top of the search engines. Explain to them how it works and everything. Again, obviously being housebound, I couldn't go out and meet them, and I
Yeah,
didn't want to meet them anyway because I knew obviously because that unconscious bias would likely
yeah,
to kick
yeah.
in. So to them, I offered my service completely free. in return for testimonial.
Yeah.
So within, because then it was like, then it's a lot easier to get the rankings. So within a couple of months, I got the, I think it's probably about 6 weeks or less than that. I got them to the top of the search engine. So I just said, you just give me a testimonial.
Yeah.
So I set up my first brand, was called Rank for You. And I'm going to quickly explain this. I did not want to, so the company is called Internet Services. But I did not want to trade under that name. The reason being was because a certain party was going after anyone using the easy name. So to protect myself, I created sub brands.
Yeah.
But my first sub brand was called Rank for You. So I then, equipped with those testimonials, I then contacted another set of companies. But this time I said to them, I'll get you to the top of the search engines, but don't pay me till I get results.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I scaled up. So within a year, I was making more than what I was in my job. Within 2 years, I was starting to employ people.
Wow.
I worked up, I ended up working for some big brands. I've worked for Amstrad, Guardian, Co-op,
Alan
I've
Sugar, yeah.
Pastor.
Alan
Yeah,
Sugar's
yeah,
come.
yeah. Well, I worked for
Yeah.
Daniel Sugar, his son.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. That's when they launched Amza. So there's this story around that, but I'm not, but I've got enough time to tell you about that one. But yeah, I ended up working for some, for some very big brands.
Mm-hmm.
Scaled up very, very quickly, very, very quickly. And
Yeah.
then in 2004, I set up my second company, which is a web hosting company, which basically we're the first company in the UK to offer completely free web hosting.
Okay.
For me, I like niche markets. I like doing things, obviously, that's not out there. It's a bit edgy. A lot of
Yeah.
people said it would fail, but it was a phenomenal success.
Yeah.
Because essentially what we did was we offered that brand again. It's under a different brand. It's called freevirtualservice.com.
Mm-hmm.
Different company, easy internet solutions, not services.
Mm-hmm.
And we offered completely free hosting. And
Mm-hmm.
essentially what we did was we said, listen, you can have everything. You can have database, you can have emails, you can have everything you want. But the only thing we'll limit is the number of visitors to your site every month. So
Mm-hmm.
if you stay within that cap, you could host with us for years. And we've had one particular chap who hosted us for at least 15 years without even paying a penny,
Yeah.
which is fine because it was just a hobby site.
But then
And
as other ones grew, they obviously wanted to go over that,
abs
and they
absolutely.
probably had the means because of the more visitors that they could afford to pay for the service.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
it was a loss leading business model,
Yeah.
worked
Yeah.
worked absolutely brilliantly, scaled that up very quickly. I sold that's the one I sold about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
So I actually did quite well after that. So well, I've still got a 10% share.
Yeah.
So I just sold most of the shares from
Yeah.
that.
So I liquidated some of the ownership, got some
Absolutely.
cash in the pocket, but still
Absolutely.
got a stake in it as well.
Yeah, so I've got some more stake in it. That's correct. So yeah, scaled that one up. Then done other businesses as well. Over the years, I've done business directories. I'm going to talk about my business directory, but I used to have a company, interested enough, that specialized in business directories.
Yeah.
And we set up various business directories. And in 2000 and what's up? I think it was 2018. I wrote my book. So a lot of people, especially, they just see the tip of the iceberg. They see the pinnacle, don't they? They don't see
Yeah.
the formation behind
Yeah.
it. And I just thought, I'm going to let people actually know what my real story was
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of the challenges that I've faced to get here, because people see me at the business awards. I've won lots of business awards. Probably won about 10 different business awards,
Yeah.
and I've got all these accolades and everything, but people don't really understand used to, some people just think just magically just got there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way, does it?
It's like overnight success takes like 10 years, right? Yeah.
Exactly, tell me about it. Exactly. They don't see what the blood, sweat, and tears I've actually got into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I launched my book. After shortly after that, I then decided that I just wanted to focus on passion projects. So I stepped down from my businesses because they were going, as you know, Martin, running a business is bloody, bloody stressful.
Yeah.
And especially if you're managing a disability as well, because 'cause I've got chronic fatigue. Right now, I've got chronic fatigue times two because I've just recently had an operation not long ago. I was just talking to you about, obviously, before I started recording. So my
Yeah,
chronic fatigue now is completely off the charts.
yeah,
And so I just wanted to work on passion projects. And again, that's, so the first one that we set up, the one that you're involved in, as you know, which is it's really good of you to come on board and support us, is access rating. So
yeah,
we created the app which allows disabled people to submit disabled access reviews on on every single public venue across the UK. And the way we make money as a social enterprise, as you know, is we offer disabled access audits, but all for us, when I say for us, I'm including you in that, obviously, because you were, you were the well, you are the strategic director, is knew how difficult it is
yeah.
to secure placements as a student. So the money we make from that then goes into a remote work placement. A remote work placement. Except please just gone. Anyway, a work placement thing that
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
set
yeah,
up, okay, for young adults to actually get
yeah.
into work, which is
Yeah, to
actually
get experience and get on the
exactly to
ladder.
gain experience. Thank you. So yeah, so that's gone phenomenally well. We've deprecated the app because we just now want to focus on the audits and the work placements. So the work placements, we've now rolled that out to our fourth school now.
Nice.
So that's doing phenomenally well. I think so far we've about 30 or 40 students who are actually on work placements. And they're not tokenistic work placement, they're real jobs that they actually go for. So essentially what they've got to do is they've got to apply, they've got to be interviewed. And as a result, they actually acquire real skills.
Yeah.
So now that's being run by my fellow director, Richard Copson. So he's
Yeah.
now taking it over. You know Rich quite well, don't you?
Well, I
So
saw him at the Lilac Review, which we'll
that's
come on
right,
to in
yeah.
a minute. But I was convinced we'd met in person before, but it was the first time 2 months ago that we actually were in the same room because it was all like remote. Everything we've done has been remotely. So yeah, amazing.
It's uncanny, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
often I'm like that as well, that people that I thought, oh, we've met before, but no, never physically met. You've just met virtually, haven't you?
yeah. You and I have there's been a couple of other events the last
Yeah.
year or two, but yeah, the first time we were in person, it was like we'd always known each
I
other in
know, I know.
person. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it's quite uncanny. So yeah, so access ratings done for that's doing phenomenally well. Quite happy with that. Then I set up my second social enterprise, which is Ability Connect. So I work with Leicester Business School. So Leicester Business School, about 2 years ago, about nearly 2, 3 years ago, not no, 2 years, actually conducted a study on some of the barriers that disabled entrepreneurs face actually when it comes to when it comes to set up a business. And I collaborated with them. And one of the things I did say, because I know other universities have done similar studies, and I said, listen, this just can't be a study whereby you deliver the report and nothing happens. And they agreed that some sort of
Yeah.
action will be taken to support disabled entrepreneurs.
Sometimes there's a lot of research and listening and talking, but there's not that tangible action, right?
Absolutely, it's actually zero action. So Leicester Business, Leicester University, who've, they're the only universities that actually taken action. So I really commend them. I commend them for that. And what we found, obviously, one of the things we found was the lack of business education, or actually business support as well. So we've come up with a course whereby disabled entrepreneurs or aspiring disabled entrepreneurs can actually go on to and learn some of the key competencies that they need to be successful in business. It's 8 hours, so there's not a lot you can do in 8 hours. So some of the modules we cover financial planning, business innovation, digital marketing, which is the one that you delivered for us. Nice of you to deliver that, Martin. And I could,
Yeah.
we
I
got
thoroughly enjoyed that. I mean,
from
we'll sort of get through the projects, and then there's a couple of broader thematics to bounce back and forward. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed being involved in that. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's the resilience. There's the resilience mindset, which is the one, which is one I deliver. So we've now just had a second batch of of entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. Was about a month ago. We're now looking to hopefully in June, July, we're going to have a third iteration. So that's going exceptionally well. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing now with Ability Connect. So my latest projects, I'm always into one project or the other. I'm just one of those people, I'm always up to something, and then I start kicking myself because I'm always so tired. It's like, what have I done? But you know what? I think honestly, I think there's a gap in the market for a really good business directory for disabled entrepreneurs or inclusive companies. And because when you look at every other minority, is that when you look at, like, for instance, if you look at women, you look at Black people, every single minority, they've got a business directory whereby you can actually go and search for all the various businesses. But we
Yeah,
as disabled entrepreneurs, we haven't got anything. And we've got an awful lot of really good businesses out there,
yeah,
just like yours, like Purple Goat,
yeah.
lots of fantastic businesses.
Because I'm not that familiar with the sort of the general business, not even at the business model, but at the general
Yeah,
value of the directory. So whether it's the disability one that you're involved in or creating right now, or
sure.
the ones you mentioned, like for Black people, for women, what's the kind of what's the value proposition of being able to use such a directory? Be good just to kind of hear that side of it.
Yeah. So so the whole point is of a directory. It's very similar to Yelp.
Yeah.
You can just go on and actually look for, let's say, for instance, you're looking for a digital marketing agency. You go in, you type in, you type in digital marketing agency, and automatically it will give you a
Yeah.
list of all digital marketing agencies that are actually either they're actually inclusive companies or actually disabled owned.
So, because I was thinking, like, who would be the user, but already hearing that, it
Yeah,
could almost be like if at Purple Go, we're looking for, someone with HR expertise,
absolutely,
we could find a disability
absolutely.
owned or run business that
That's
has that specialism. So you've got like interconnectedness within the community, but
absolutely.
maybe I was thinking more broadly, there are companies that just want to have more inclusive supply chains as well.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to make a note of that. Actually, put that statement on the website. I like that. You succinctly just put everything together for me. Well done, Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's essentially that's what it's about. So it's all about connecting other disabled people together.
yeah,
Often people will say that, oh, if I'd known, they say to me that if I'd known about your business, I'd have actually come to you.
yeah,
And often, as you say, like, for instance, if you're looking for a graphic designer or if you're looking for a content writer, I can
yeah,
just we can quickly go onto directory. And also most importantly, is also the wider public as well. There will be organizations, there will be other people as well. And so, do you
yeah,
know what? I like to give this particular business to a disabled led or to disabled owned business.
yeah.
And,
And so,
and that's the whole point of actually getting the directory. So far we've got about 485. I'm hoping to launch in the next couple of weeks. So by the time we launch, it's probably going to be over 500.
nice.
I'm by the end of the year, I'm hoping to have at least about 10,000 businesses listed.
Yeah,
And part of what we're going to be doing as well is that we will have a peer-to-peer support network. I'm actually talking to, and I've got a meeting with an organization next week who could actually form part of our peer-to-peer support network.
yeah,
Um, and that we've got. So we've got that interactivity as well, actually between it. Towards the end of the year, I'll be launching a marketplace
yeah,
so people can actually put on their products on there as well. Also, as part of the directory as well, is I'm going to be opening it up. So therefore, like, for instance, Purple Goat could claim its listing and you can put videos on, you can put images on. So there's going to be an events section as well. So, like for instance, Purple Ghost has got you've got an event, you can advertise it on there as well.
Yeah.
So so it's a very robust and very comprehensive directory, in terms of what we're doing. And
With that entrepreneurial hat on, thinking
yeah,
what you said about the server and the web hosting, sorry, business. So would there be a bit of that model to this, that there's a sort of freemium element, but then there's a part where businesses can pay for additional services?
absolutely spot on, Martin. So yeah, there is a freemium model, but basically, essentially, it's going to be free.
Yeah,
But there will be I'll be introducing enhanced listings
yeah, that makes
or
sense.
featured listings.
Like Yelp does, right? The kind of thing Yelp.
Exactly. That's right. But it's good. It's just going to be phenomenal fee. I've done back directories before. As I said, I used to have a business that specialized in directories.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's how it's a very similar model whereby the listings, the initial listings are completely free. But what we'll do is that the enhanced listings or the featured listings, which allow you to add a lot more information. These allow you to add videos, images, also be featured featured on the first page as well.
Yeah.
Those will be paid for, but it's just going to be a nominal fee. And any money, because Ability Connect is a social enterprise,
Yeah.
any money that we make will then go back into the pot to support disabled entrepreneurs going forward.
Amazing. It's
Yeah,
got a
thank you.
virtuous cycle.
Exactly, it's
Um,
the virtuous cycle. That's correct.
you are a busy guy.
I
I mean,
know.
I appreciate that part of that was a sort of 30 odd year in terms of the backstory,
That's
but then
right.
also right now that there's a few amazing projects in the fold. I mean, firstly, just to say what a phenomenal journey, and just congratulations on all those successes. And I think it's amazing that first of all you could take your own challenges and find a way through that created a business that obviously created value to its customers, but also enabled you to have a salary and to eventually exit for good money and financial independence, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that part of it is brilliant and it's so inspiring. And then as you said, up with the book and the social enterprises, it's sort of giving back, isn't it? It's
It
giving
is.
that platform for other people in similar positions to find their way through. And I think that's that must be so satisfying for you to see how you've taken your story to empower and benefit other people, but also you're still using your business skills to drive that change as well. It's sort of, I don't know if you'd use the word philanthropic. It's probably not quite philanthropic. It's just entrepreneurial, but social enterprise is the most apt word, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, just phenomenal. All of it, I love all of it. And as you sort of referenced, we've collaborated on a couple of the things, and I've been aware of parts of it. But for the listeners, it's just so great to hear all that pulled together. That broader part now of empowering disabled entrepreneurs through these different projects. I
Mm,
mean, Lilac Review feels like quite a opportunity and sort of scale and systemic almost opportunity. Like what you said about Leicester Uni was like, let's not just listen, let's do. And I
mm,
think, you and I are on the steering group for the Lilac Review, and
right.
they're at the listening stage, which is great. But I think it's our job to hold them accountable that there are tangible actions off the back of it. But should that occur, we're talking big industry, the
Mm.
government, like it could really be rolled out at scale, which is very exciting. Be good just to hear any of your general thoughts on the Lilac Review, maybe a quick what it is from your perspective for the listeners that might not have come across it, but just have a
Uh,
moment to touch on the Lilac Review, really.
Yeah, well, in a nutshell, the Lilac Review is a government initiative that see that they're working in collaboration with Small Business Britain, and it's to level the playing field for disabled entrepreneurs within the UK. And one of the things, just going back to what you're saying, is at the moment, as I said, they're actually in the listening stage. But at the same time, I think the fact that, first of all, the government is listening, and I think they're trying to do is in that, when you look at some of the other studies that have been that have been carried out, you look at the FSB, you look at probably Leicester and all the university as well. One thing that they haven't done is they haven't done this segmentation, in terms of they haven't looked at, okay, what are the particular barriers that each subsection of the disabled community face.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that they're now starting to do that today, because it's not going to be, in terms of, at the end of the day, when the Lilac Review actually comes up with its recommendations, it's not going to be a one size fits all, is it?
No.
We've all got different needs, like the deaf community, they're going to have completely different needs to the to the blind community, to neurodiverged, to neurodiverged community, and also to the physically disabled community.
Yeah.
And again, I think what's going to happen, I hope it's going to happen, is that we're going to have a very flexible solution, because often what's imposed on us are these rigid solutions. And as a community, because we've got so many different range of disabilities, so despite number of disabilities, is that we need something that's going to flex.
Yeah. And I totally agree on the disability variables, if you like. And then there's the sort of, we all have different skills, we all have different passions, we all
Absolutely.
have different business models that we're pursuing, we have like different, socioeconomic backgrounds. Like, so when you overlay all those variables, you've got a lot of different, as you say, kind of, you can't have a one size fits all.
You can't.
I get sort of that narrative of what you experienced,
Mm.
the projects you're involved in running, and some new ones that you're creating, and then moving it into that broader societal opportunity with the Lilac Review. What do you what would you like to see happen in the next, say, 5 years, or what do you think the challenges are? It's sort of a little bit of navel gazing of, we know where we are as a community at the moment, but yeah, what are the challenges? What are the opportunities in the next sort of 5 to 10 years from your perspective?
I reckon what I'd like to see in the next 5 years is, I'd like to see a lot of because at the moment we've got a lot of the services for disabled people fragmented. We've
Yeah,
got pockets of bits here and there.
so
Um,
true.
exactly. And also we've got lots, don't get me wrong here, because I know people have the best intentions, but often we're not getting that collaboration. And it'd be good to have like a centralized resource whereby you can go to that centralized resource, and that would automatically know. So it could be like a signposting service whereby, if you wanted business support, this is where you go. If you wanted finance, this is where you need to go. And for me, that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
Also, secondly, I think a much broader um, business educational system as well. Hopefully, Leicester Business School will able to expand what they're doing. We're actually working on something that we're looking at the moment, to actually see if we can actually build a business accelerator program. So therefore, there's going to be a follow-up, because there's only so much you can deliver in 8 hours.
yeah.
So if we can have like a business accelerator program that goes over 6 months, so therefore we can actually offer much better support to disabled people.
Yeah,
Actually
it's
down.
almost that kind of, while you're actually on the move, starting or growing your business, there are
Exactly.
things coming up over the weeks that you
Yeah.
almost need that sort of contextual
It
support,
does.
as well as the kind of upfront theory, the theory that is in the lectures as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And thirdly, for me, I think the biggest obstacle is still finance.
yeah,
We need access to, either we get discounted loans, favorable loans. Actually, let me remove that word. Favorable loans,
yeah,
I would say, and also favorable overdrafts, and also whereby the criteria isn't as rigid, because often as disabled people, we're actually seen as a much higher risk.
Yeah.
So again, it's all about leveling that playing field. It's all about educating the lenders as well,
Mm-hmm.
and also getting the lenders to to actually offer better support to the disabled community. As I
Yeah.
said, as opposed to seeing as, oh, this person or this, or this person is going to be high risk.
Yeah, and really interesting the way you said the wording of favorable, like how powerful language is, right? Because there are words that can kind of mean the same thing, but some have like historical baggage or
That's right.
emotively loaded, and
Yeah,
a synonym essentially can
indeed.
can be more empowering and less, well, less baggage essentially. So I thought that just an interesting point there. I mean, for me, I don't know if you remember, I did economics at
Yeah,
uni, and
that's
I
right. Yeah,
haven't
no, yeah.
done a lot. Really, I mean, there's bits of it there always through
Mm,
all the advocacy and the entrepreneurship, but when you're speaking to that sort of favorable loans and the sort of, some people go, well, what, why would, societally, why would we do that? But it's when you get into the economics,
mm.
there's the cost savings of someone being empowered
Yes,
to, work within the health challenges and not burn
exactly.
out, and, and the mental health challenges of not having a purpose if there's no ability
Exactly.
to work. But then with flexibility and entrepreneurship, freelance, like there is that flexibility to work and it gives purpose. So there's like
That's,
the physical and mental health considerations, almost that opportunity cost. But then
mm,
once someone is off the ground with the business and it's thriving, there's the fact that people are off benefits, there's
that's right.
paying into the tax system. And
Absolutely.
I sometimes resent we have to talk that way because we just know how hard it is, and we're just like, can't someone cut us a break here? But
Yeah.
you learn quickly that if you talk the language of the treasury and of the
Yeah.
government, then we can still get ultimately what we want, which
Indeed.
is that ability to have that support, mentoring, finance, and then we win and everybody wins. And I think that's what's quite exciting with the Lilac Review
I
is
agree.
that cross-industry conversation as well.
Yeah, I think just to respond to what you said there, Martin, I think it's really what's exciting about the Light Review is the fact that when you look at some of the organizations that are actually on board with this, we're talking about some of the biggest corporations in the UK.
Yeah.
We're talking about Lloyd's, we've got eBay, have we got British Gas there? I can't remember. There's actually quite a few, isn't there?
Yeah, British Gas or British Telecom.
Oh,
One
British
of the,
Telecom. I
yeah,
know.
one of the
I know.
British.
Exactly. It's British. That's the way you think.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely right. So we've got some really heavy hitters on board. And but most importantly is the government. The government is now listening to,
yeah,
now listening to disabled people and actually wanting to do something because they fully understand the actual economic benefit of getting more disabled people into business. But it's not just getting more disabled into business. Is that when you look at the statistics, small businesses are more likely 50%, 56% more likely to employ a disabled person.
mm,
As a result, getting more disabled people into business is helping reduce the disability gap as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
overall, it's a win-win situation for the government, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and your point about industry and some of those brands, they're not entering it from a charity model
No, not
mindset
at
of
all.
here's a donation to do some
Exactly.
disability things.
That's
It's
right.
actually like, for example, Lloyd's know a lot of their current banking customers have a disability, and a
Yes.
lot of future potential customers they could bring in as Lloyd's customers have a
Absolutely.
disability. And it's not to flip it the other way and go, oh, they're only doing it for the money either. Like they do care, but
Mm.
I'm quite happy that brands see the business side of
Hey.
disability because we're then getting involved in the right sort of part of the conversation as well.
No, 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 no. I think now finally, I think we've now got a seat at the table,
Yes,
and now we've now got a voice that can be heard.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, we're going to draw to a bit of a close. What
Okay.
one thing I was just going to get your thoughts on was, well, we talk about the directory,
Yes.
and there's obviously all the variables we talked about. presumably there can be an individual who's more like a freelancer that does say graphic design as
Yes.
much as an agency with 50 people that's owned or run by a disabled person to clarify if that's correct. But
Yes.
also I think that the sentiment of not every person with a disability has to start the next large company, that it can be a sort of lifestyle business and it can be as an individual that you're just earning enough to live off. And yeah, just to get your thoughts on those sort of sentiments.
Okay, so when you look at the UK as a whole, it actually most businesses are actually small.
Yeah,
Actually, when you think about it. So, obviously we see the large corporations in the headlines, but a lot of businesses, they just, one-man bands, cottage industries, so again, in terms of being an entrepreneur, it's that, you don't need to have a big workforce. You don't need to be employing loads and loads of people with big premises. You
mm-hmm.
could be, you could be a graphic designer, just working from your bedroom,
Yeah. And
and
also with AI, right? The kind of
exactly.
the support functions can, I'm not saying we're there now and we all get another emotive conversation can trigger some people, but there is a potential that someone in the bedroom with AI could run £1 million business easily.
Easily,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Especially when you see what you can do, some of these AI tools, now it's
yeah,
boggling. Like for instance, obviously I'm going to say, but is that like for instance, like with us, that we used to, we sell a lot of content writers. We used to pay a lot of money to content writers.
yeah,
But now with the advent of AI, you can actually just get AI to actually generate most of the content for you.
yeah,
It's in terms of actually creating images, you've got AI image generators.
yeah,
I've got videos. Obviously, that's going to be the next big thing now, is in terms of using AI to generate videos. Also, you've got AI assistants that can do so much. There's so much you can actually do these days. But going back to your original question about the directory, the directory is actually open to everybody.
yeah,
So even someone who's just starting off in business from day one, and even if they haven't got a website, but even if they got a social media link, we'll
yeah.
add it. We've got a number of people on there that even got websites. But
So a
what
lot
we
of the influencers that we work with at Purple go,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah, it'd be good if we can just get their socials if possible,
yeah.
and
Because a lot of them do, consulting, speaking.
phenomenal,
Yeah,
phenomenal. Those are the sort of people we need on the directory, because again, what we want to do is actually showcase people's talents.
yeah,
That's the most, that's the most important thing. So as I say, so we've got people on there. All we've done is link to their link, was it LinkedIn, pardon upon there, and also Instagram, or some of them have just got Facebook, or some of them have just got
yeah,
Twitter. They don't need to have a website. They don't need
yeah.
to
I
have a
think that's really important to clarify as well. That, yeah, no, that's good.
Absolutely. So disabled-preneurs, hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to launch on the 9th
Okay, well, we're late
of April.
March,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
it might be around then that this goes live. So yeah,
Okay.
people can obviously double check when they hear it. Can you tell us the website? Yeah, spell it, and
Yes.
feel free to spell it as well.
It's disabled, then preneurs at the end of it, Preneurs.
Yeah,
So it's kind of merge, it's a merge between
disabled
disabled and
pronouns.
entrepreneur. It's
Nice.
called disabledpreneurs.com.
Whenever I do entrepreneur, I always have to get predictive text to help me.
Do you know what? Do you know that? Do you know what? I'm going to tell a secret. I can never spell entrepreneur.
I know it's a tough one. It is.
I know. I
Yeah.
always misspell it for some strange reason. It's nuts. But because now I've lost disabledpreneurs, have to force myself. I've
Yeah.
actually got a post-it which basically
Well,
disabled.
we'll link to it on the show notes as
Oh,
well.
fantastic. Thanks so much. But but again, as I said, people just go there. There's going to be opportunity for people to to submit their listings, to contact us. And what I'm doing, because as you know, my background is in SEO anyway, in digital
Yeah,
marketing. So we're going to be marketing the hell out of the directory.
yeah,
And eventually what's going to happen is that people will probably find that our directory is listed higher in Google than their website or
Yeah, yeah,
socials.
yeah.
So
That's
that's
really
going to be a key
powerful.
benefit. So we're going to be driving lots and lots of traffic to the directory, and as a result to their listings as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Mark, that was beyond all expectations,
Thank
and
you
my
so much.
expectations were high. So thank you for a very great conversation. And yeah, everyone listening, please check out disabledpreneurs.com, right? .com at the
Yeah,
end.
that's the one.
Yeah.
.com. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited to see how it all unravels.
Super. Thanks so much, Martin. It's a real pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Take care, Mark. Bye bye.
Okay, cheers, mate.